Okay, so hello everyone. How you doing, YouTubers? Today we have a very special guest with us. We're gonna have Schell. We talked to him last year. For those who doesn't know him, he's got his own game design studio that is called Schell Games. A fantastic one. He's got a really awesome book that is called The Art of Game Design, and with a deck of lenses that most of you are using. So we're gonna go for a new interview this year. And so first of all, it's a really big pleasure for us to have you here, Jesse. So welcome again.
Sure, glad to be here.
So Jesse, just an easy question to start off. Last year we talked about gamification. You told us the future of gamification was kind of good. So how has your perception of gamification changed along this year? Is it better? Is it worse? Has anything important happened for you to change it?
Well, I guess just to be clear, like one of the things I've never been really a fan of the word gamification. I think it's kind of a confusing word because it makes it sound like people want to take things and turn them into games. But usually that's not what people want. Usually what people are saying when they say they want to gamify something, they're really saying there's something that they like and they want it to be better and they wish that it had more of the qualities that games have. And so I guess in terms of, in other words, we're just talking about better interactive design. And I think we've seen, a lot of gradual improvements in that. I think one of the good things that's happening is people are figuring out what doesn't work very well. We went through a couple of years where people were just sticking badges on everything, assuming that was going to work. And everyone's saying that, well, that doesn't work. And people are starting to get down to the more underlying psychology of what is it that really makes something engaging.
Yeah, truly agree. That's just totally agree. So, following our last year's talk, we chat about how necessary it was to play games to design good experiences. It was a bit more like I remember that we were with Oscar and we were talking about cooking. Like you need to have cooked a lot to make good dishes. So, do you think there any kind of games that will improve your design skills, or would you be able to tell us some games that will make your game design skills better? Anything like the so-called MMORPGs or the MOBAs, or just every game will do?
I guess I don't think it matters so much what game you look at, it's how you look at them. I mean, you can study really simple games. You can study hopscotch and chess and checkers and get a lot out of it, or you can look at those games and get nothing out of it. It really comes down to, are you really looking at why is this working? What is it that really engages people and holds people? What is it that makes people want to keep playing? What is it that where people get confused? Where are the parts where the surprises come out of the game? Where are the parts where you want to play again? I really think it kind of comes down to kind of pretty much anything. Now, if you're designing very specific interfaces and you want to look at games that will help you there, you want to find games that have similar interfaces to what you're designing. But beyond that, I mean, I really think just deep study and observation of any kind of game, even very simple games, can have a lot of benefit.
And is something changed, or have you changed anything in your new edition of the Art of Game Design? I mean, we've been talking about games and the way that you look at it. Has something changed? Which are the most remarkable changes for you to release a new edition?
Yeah, so it's been 5 or 6 years since the old edition, and so much has changed in the world of games and game design. One of the big changes is definitely just sort of the explosion of kind of indie development and free-to-play development. So there's the business sections in terms of why is it that people pay for games. Those have been very much expanded. Also, I've learned a lot more about the psychology of human motivation, and so a whole new chapter about motivation, what is it that motivates people to do things, has been added. And further, I've found a lot of insights about the way games fit into our lives, which has led to a venues chapter that talks about the relationship between our lives, games, and the places that we choose to use certain kinds of hardware, because that's been very I found that very useful in terms of being able to predict the future. I've also added a number of lenses. I mean, the whole concept of the book is, you know, the original one gave 100 lenses, different ways of looking at your game. I've added about a dozen new ones that have come up to that. So, and also every chapter now has suggestions for continued reading that weren't there before. So there's been a lot of changes throughout, and we really felt like it was made for a pretty solid second edition. And then beyond that, we've added a new deck of cards. If anyone's interested in that, I mean the cards are really useful. I find people who aren't even just doing game design find them useful. You know, just kind of being able to hold the concepts in your hand and have helpful illustrations that you can look at and ask questions about. So there's a whole new one of those, and there's a free app for that as well that you can check out.
And what if because mostly people are using them for game design, but we also see people that are using them with designing gamified experiences. So what would be the main steps if you want to design a gamified experience with your deck of lenses? That, by the way, I use in my own way, of course, because everyone uses them in their own way. But what would you advise someone that says, all right, I wanna go for a gamification, and I've heard that Jesse's cards are awesome. What shall I do to start designing an experience?
I think there's a few different ways that you can do that, but I think one of the things that the cards are good at is helping you sort of look at things from a lot of different points of view. I mean, often when I'm looking at a project I hadn't thought about, for example, we were just working on a project working with a zoo in order to, they're trying to figure out how can they sort of deepen the relationship that people have with the zoo. So that's not a game per se, but it's kind of a design challenge that we've got where we're hoping to have a lot of game-like qualities. We're hoping that people feel a sense of progress in their kind of growing relationship with the zoo. We're hoping that they can feel a sense of achievement when they do certain things and have certain experiences there. So very often what I'll do is I'll just kind of go through the cards kind of just one at a time, just kind of like, is this relevant? And I'll kind of make two piles. Like, yeah, you know what, this actually is a good question. And then there's other ones that are like, no, this doesn't feel very relevant right now. I'll kind of set those aside. So that's often a kind of a good thing because you can get a lot of insights that way. Because you might, for example, you might be working on your problem and maybe the notion of characters wasn't really something you've been thinking about for your particular experience. But maybe characters make a lot of sense in a way that you hadn't talked about before. Or, you know, who knows, maybe you're working on a tax program and you get into this notion, sort of the lens of the puzzle. And like, does it make sense for me to think of doing my taxes as a puzzle? So really it's very much kind of finding ways to sort of prompt you with questions that you can explore, because, you know, that's what design is. It's thinking through like these different questions and coming up with answers to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. I use them in stages. I pretty much do onboarding, mid game, and end game, and just put them on the table and start playing with them. But yeah, thanks. Maybe I go for that one. I'll just try it out. So now changing a bit the topic. Last year we were all talking about your projects, and I remember that you told us about Enemy Mine being on Steam Greenlight. You've told me that it went really good. So what are your new projects for 2015?
Right, so we got a number of different things going on. Where we're doing this great project Lexica with Amplify Learning, which is a game all about getting junior high and high school students excited about reading. It's the biggest project we've ever done. It's in beta right now, and it's probably going to be having a big launch this September. We're doing a game called Water Bears, which will be coming out on Glass Lab, which is a system of getting games to students. But it's also going to go into the Apple Store probably in the March-April time frame, and so that you can look for that. But right now, the one we're really excited about is a game we came up with called Orion Trail. Our studio has about 100 people, and once a year we stop the whole studio for a week, and we just let everybody work on whatever they're excited about. And we had a team get very excited about this game that's kind of a mashup between Star Trek and the old Oregon Trail educational game, and it turned into this really funny game called Orion Trail. And we made a little prototype We put it up on Kickstarter. So far, we have over 1,500 backers, and we're almost halfway funded, but we got about 17 days to go. So if people are interested in that, go to Kickstarter and check out the Orion Trail.
Well, that's awesome. I wish you the best luck for it, and I hope everything goes fine. So, well, our last question of today. Now we're seeing like a massive expansion of the concept of EA Sports. We're seeing how mobile devices become kings of mobile gaming and of gaming in overall, and we are seeing how this whole YouTubers phenomena is kind of taking over online video. So. How do you see the future of game design, and how do you see the future of gamification? Is it matching what you foresaw in your DICE 2012 talk, or are we still far from it? How is your perception for the future of game design and gamification at the moment?
Well, I think one of the things that I think we're really all starting to understand is how difficult it is to create meaningful systems of reward and progress. Because if they don't line up really well with the activity that you're doing, they feel very fake and they fall apart. They don't really work. And so there's so much exploration happening in the question of what really does work in this space and what doesn't. And I would say, probably for every 19 things that doesn't work, that we find one that works. And we see it happen a lot in the game space. A lot of the innovations in terms of free-to-play games have really made people understand like what really works in terms of progress. Things like some of the endless runner games we've seen, or the game Puzzle and Dragons, which has a very unique way of kind of getting you to sort of put in more progress. And people are finding lots of ways to try and apply these things to school and to chores and to progress meters in tutorials. So I guess we're seeing little things that are gradually getting better, but we're certainly not seeing a tidal wave of things that are working because it's hard. But we are seeing, I guess I would say progress is sort of slow and steady towards gamification leading to better design.
Well, it is truly hard. With that, I fully agree. It's not simple at all to create an engaging experience, and with gamification, sometimes it's usually harder, or at least as hard, because you have to make something that is not really fun into something that is fun in the end. So totally complicated. So well, just a massive thank you, Jesse, for being with us here today, and I really hope all your projects go really good. And well, guys, I just hope that you enjoyed this talk with him, and see you soon. So thank you, Jesse. Bye.
All right. Good talking to you, Victor. Bye.